What's up? We are making a romantic dinner for two. Whether you have a Valentine or not this year, make this for your boys, make it for the girls, make it for whoever you want. Let's dive in. There's a lot of moving parts in this dinner. Luckily, you can make some of the things ahead of time, but we're gonna game plan it all out, set you up for success. So let's fire up that plan of attack. So the plan is a steak dinner with a New York strip, Brussels sprouts, scalloped potatoes, and then a beautiful creme brulee for dessert. Timing is important because on the day of, you want everything to be done for dinner at the same time. There's a few big things you can get out of the way the day before. Included in that is making the custard for the creme brulee, which is about 90% of the work, and we're gonna fully make the scalloped potatoes. The day of, you gotta focus on the Brussels sprouts and the steak. The scalloped potatoes, we're just gonna reheat, and then the creme brulee, you just take care of afterwards. And as I always find, no matter how nicely I write things out here, sometimes shit hits the fan, and you just gotta make it work. So let's fire it up and see how it goes.
We're kicking things off by whipping up the custard for the creme brulee. Gotta measure out some sugar, gotta measure out some cream, add that to a sauce pot. Then we're gonna take a fresh vanilla pod, slice that, peel it open a little bit, take a spoon and scrape the beans out. This is the first time I've ever worked with an actual vanilla bean and it was fucking cool. Add that all to your cream mixture, give it a stir, and we're gonna take that over to the stove. We're gonna heat this over medium-low heat until it begins to simmer. After that happens, remove it from the heat. We're gonna go ahead and strain that. The smell of that fresh vanilla along with the sweetness of there is just incredible. Once it's completely strained, we're gonna set that aside to cool for about 15 minutes, and we're gonna move on to extracting 6 egg yolks. This is the way I like to do it. To me, it's quick, it's easy. Just gotta roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. At this point, we have all the ingredients ready to go. Now it's a matter of combining them. Take a damp towel, roll it up, and we're gonna make a little nest for that mixing bowl. This is gonna stabilize it and keep it in place while we whisk. Add the eggs, and then gradually add that cream mixture. As you get about halfway in, you can add it a lot quicker. Once that's fully incorporated, it's time to ladle that into ramekins. Take a baking dish and that same damp towel, lay that out over the base. What that's gonna do, it's gonna keep those ramekins in place when you're moving anything to and from the oven. Once you ladle those in, give them a nice little wipe. It's time to make that hot water bath. You're gonna take boiling water and you're gonna pour it into that baking dish, and you're gonna wanna fill it till it's about 2/3 of the way up the sides of the ramekin. Then, ever so slowly and gently, place those in a 300-degree oven until they reach 175 internal.
These are done. They've been baking for about 40 minutes. They reached 175 degrees internal. We're gonna let these cool for about an hour, then we're gonna cover them, and we're gonna put them in the fridge for overnight.
You can find the full-length scalloped potato video on our YouTube channel. Go ahead and make that in full the day before and reheat it the day of. Go ahead and give it a shot.
Brussels sprouts, potentially one of the biggest glow-ups in recent years in the vegetable industry. Let's make a nice simple Brussels sprout to go with this steak dinner.
Go ahead and take your bushel of Brussels sprouts, if that's what it's called, or a bunch or a bag or whatever the hell you want. Call it what you want. I'm gonna call it a bushel. Take a bushel, give them a wash, cut the stems, and then halve them. This is gonna take a little bit of time, so throw some music on, get in the vibe, do some good old chopping. Once you're done, clean up the surface. We're gonna go ahead and make the vinaigrette, because once you get these going in the oven, there is no turning back. This vinaigrette is super simple. You can put almost anything on these sprouts. It'll be delicious. Here we have 2/3 a cup of olive oil, 1/3 cup of balsamic vinegar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, A little bit of good old S&P, salt and pepper. Close that up, give it a shaky shake. And there you have a nice simple vinaigrette for these Sproutskis. The goal with these sprouts is to have them crispy and of a beautiful color. And in order to do that, you need to use enough oil and roast them on high heat. We got that oven set to 450. Make sure you salt and pepper those generously. We're going to actually put the tray in the oven before you put the Brussels sprouts on there. We want that high heat hitting them immediately. Just listen to these sizzle the second they hit that tray. Obviously need a little bit more oil there. Don't go chintzy on that, and listen up. That's hot. Take a tong, make sure you turn those so that they cook cut face down, and into the oven they go. Gonna come out looking beautiful like your Valentine.
When it comes to the steak, we're gonna keep it simple. Salt and pepper on there, and we're gonna baste it with rosemary and garlic. Done deal.
Here we have a beautiful New York strip, and I guarantee that if you get this steak right, dinner won't be the only time the word strip comes up. Go ahead and season that generously with salt and pepper. Do not hold back. This is hardly the time to be concerned with how much sodium you're intaking. Fucking season that shit. Once the steak is rested for about 30 minutes, fire up a pan and add some high smoke point oil. We're going to sear this steak for 2 minutes on all sides. You really want to get a nice color all across this steak. From a meal planning perspective, this would be a good time to throw the scalloped potatoes in the oven to reheat those along with the Brussels sprouts, so that way everything is finished at the same time. Once you're happy with the sear, turn the heat down to medium, add your butter, garlic, and rosemary, and we're just going to baste this steak until it reaches temp. For me, that took about 10 total minutes, and I flipped it halfway. That actually landed me a little closer to medium than medium rare, but still in a perfectly good range, in my opinion. At this point, everything's starting to come together. Once that steak is off and resting, just got to worry about the sides in the oven, and we may just pull this off, baby. Ten minutes out, and we're exactly where we need to be. Our steak is resting, our scalloped potatoes are cooling, and our Brussels sprouts, we're just waiting for them to be done. We're going to take those out when they're brown, crispy, nice and light. Then we're going to toss them with that vinaigrette, plate them, top them off with a little bit of Parmesan. At that point, all that's left to do is cut up that beautiful steak, then throw your own personal touch on there with however you want to plate it and present it. At this point, holy shit, you fucking did it. Go enjoy dinner, and we'll pick things up afterwards for dessert.
First course, here you go. Dig in. It's simply not Valentine's Day if you don't have that naughty little sweet to top off dinner. So let's fire up that creme brulee.
Last thing we got to do for this evening, at least in the kitchen that is to torch the top of this creme brulee. So take your sugar, sprinkle it on top, make sure you get that evenly distributed, then take your torch, and most important thing, be patient with it. You don't want to burn it to death on that first try there. Be patient, stay a little further away, get that nice glassy layer of sugar.
Let's give that sugar a tap. Now let's dig in. So there you have it. Full-blown Valentine's Day dinner for two. Now go enjoy the rest of your Valentine's Day evening. Catch you next time.